Good morning. It is Thursday, January 19th, and I'm going to be doing a drive similar to yesterday's drive with FSD Beta 10.69.25.2 from my home here in Northeast Minneapolis to my company's office in Edina, Minnesota. The difference is today we are going to be driving in the middle of a snowstorm. It's a pretty mild one, but there's about 4 inches of snow on the ground. It's been a while since I've done an FSD video with snow on the ground, so I just kind of want to give you an idea of kind of how it performs. So I'm not going to focus on the highway section like I did in yesterday's video, just because the conditions aren't clear and I don't expect any big changes, obviously, in snow on the freeway, and more than likely those are already plowed anyways. I just want to show you how it kind of performs, FSD Beta performs on the side streets. So anyways, without further ado, I'm going to get out into the street here and engage FSD, and we'll go from there. So again, you'll notice I adjusted the speed right off the bat. Again, I continue to hammer this point home, and hopefully somebody from Tesla will eventually listen to me. But the speed limits have been, incorrect in my city streets here for a long time. So, yeah, hopefully they update the map data, or I don't know what else they can possibly do to get around that. Just because there's really not any signs posted in the neighborhoods here, in my neighborhood. So we're hanging out a little bit to the right more than I would like to. There's a little bit of a snowbank here, so I'm going to take over. We're getting a little close there, but otherwise, for the most part, doing a pretty decent job. It's kind of bright right now, so it's kind of hard to discern. Even I'm having a hard time with my glasses on of seeing where the snow banks end and start. So looks like some work needs to be done still with the occupancy networks for snowbanks. Good job waiting for the traffic there. I did wait for a few seconds, and then when it was clear to do so, didn't overly hesitate. Again, a big strength of .2 that I've noticed so far. I haven't really had any excessive hesitation at any intersections while waiting to turn or proceed straight, so that's been really good to see. And again, this is a regression area for Beta. I'm going to take over here and keep disengaging when possible, and you can see the roads out here are pretty clear. And again, I have to constantly disengage the car, and it gets super frustrating because that had been an area where FSD had struggled prior to the early 10.69 builds, and they had it fixed in 10.69.1, 2, and 3, where the car performed flawlessly. It didn't signal, didn't try to get in that right turn-only lane back there. It just worked as it should. And it seems like we've since regressed on that substantially, to the point where I can't get it to do the right thing anytime. And I've traversed that intersection now about 3 or 4 times with this code so far, and it's failed every single time. And as you can see, the roads are fairly clear. There's a little bit of slush and whatnot, but it's not terrible. You can see the road markings and whatnot fairly well. So I'm going to continue to report that one to the team. I know there was some work with when they introduced the deep lane guidance module. That seemed to have fixed that issue, so I don't know if they dialed that back in this build, but it seems to be whatever they changed, it's a step backwards, unfortunately. So unfortunately, it's kind of a bummer, because that would have been one area where I was super excited to see an improvement, and to see it regress is kind of frustrating. Alright, so a little hesitation here. Not sure what it sees. This is the one place where it's really hesitated in the past. Good job with the throttle input, though, as we saw there. I'm going to report that just because there was a lot of hesitation. It always struggles at that one, usually. I had it do a good job yesterday, but today not so much. So, and it looks like we have a snowplow up ahead, so I'll be interested to see how we kind of handle this here. I'm obviously ready to take over at any point in time. He's just kind of hanging out in the middle of the road. Alright, I'm going to take over because I don't know where he's going. Looks like he's backing up here. Okay. Now there's a slight rut. It's kind of hard to see right now, but the car is doing a good job staying to the right, and kind of where I would drive. So, you know, I would say, I mean, compared to the earlier FSD 10 builds, the car does a much better job when the roads are completely covered in snow or partially covered, I would say, compared to previous builds. The you know, the early builds were very, very rough, where it would constantly be swerving and whatnot. You can see the car does a fairly good job just picking a route and sticking to it, and not going back and forth, which has been pretty nice to see. So definitely more confidence in the snow compared to what I saw. I had a video posted from over a year ago where you can kind of compare it. I'll put a link in the description if you guys want to check it out, but it's come a long way since then. I'm going to take over here, though. It's getting a little close to that little bank there. So I would say, you know, it's more confident. It still needs to do a better job of... It barely even slipped there. It's kind of funny. It needs to do a better job of kind of outlining those smaller ruts and things like that on the right-hand side when the snow kind of accumulates on the side of the road. We obviously want to stay maybe a foot away from that. I mean, that would be my only feedback so far. All right, so you see the car got a little confused there and kind of went to the right. So I've noticed this behavior in this build quite a bit, where the car, when it does think it's a tight area and it's not 100% certain, it will safely slow down and pull to the right. So I like that behavior a lot. It's very safe. It doesn't just jam on the brakes. It does slow down quickly, but I think safe for the conditions. You know, so if it's going to get confused, that's a good behavior, rather than just try to like plow ahead and put us on a possible collision course with the vehicle. You know, Tesla again continues to prove they are taking safety into account, and contrary to what clowns like Dan O'Dowd and those kind of folks say, they obviously barely have driven with FSD and have never driven in conditions like this, so I don't have to give them much credibility at all, but... And this section up ahead here has been fairly tricky for Beta in the past. It did a good job yesterday with clear conditions. We'll see how it does today. I am going to slow it down a little bit. And you can see here, doing a great job of holding a line fairly close to that snowbank on the outer edge there, and not getting too close to it. So, you know, this is really good behavior so far. Like I said, a couple disengagements back there, to be expected at this stage, but I mean, compared to over a year ago, there's been a lot of progress in these sort of conditions, so pretty cool to see. And again, I don't advise driving FSD Beta in these conditions if you can help it. I've been driving in Minnesota for my entire life that I've been driving, and for over 10 plus years now. Actually more than that, like 15 now, I think. So, you know, I'm no stranger to these conditions, losing grip, things like that. I have winter tires on. You know, I limit the speed when possible. So, and obviously I'm ready to take over at a moment's notice. So, I don't let the car put me in any situations that would be kind of scary or put anybody else at risk. But it is interesting to kind of see how it does in these conditions, just because it's, I would say it's more of an edge case from where they're at today. But looks like it's having a tough time seeing the yellow line in the middle of the road there. This is kind of a weird setup. So I just moved the car over. A car on our left here and a car on our right. Should be clear to go once this white car on our right here passes us. And again, no excessive hesitation. We have to go through a minefield here. It's a really rough section of road. But yeah, great job there. The car it's been so good so far in 25.2 at that unprotected left turn there. It does a great job of waiting, not waiting too long, but never putting me at risk of any oncoming traffic from either side. So it's been doing the best it's ever done in that section there. So good stuff. And this road looks to be kind of fairly plowed. I'll let this go until we get to the freeway, and then I'll probably end the video. But just wanted to give you a little taste of where the snow behavior was at. Having to apply a little bit of throttle here, and again, we're kind of going to cut the corner here, as you can see. I'm not sure I like that behavior. Again, I kind of let it go because there was nobody coming to our left, but the car has to have a more deep turning profile there. We need to go deeper into the turn before we go straight more before we start our turn. We start our turn way too early, then of course our line selection's completely screwed up. So if there was a car in the turn lane there, we would not be in a good position. We'd have to awkwardly correct around them, and it would create all sorts of problems. So that's been a noticed regression that I've noticed over the last few builds. There's been a street change here, the way they laid the street out. They added a bigger sidewalk, so that's one of the issues, I think. And so maybe it's going off of map data and still trying to take the same line it would otherwise. But obviously that needs to be fixed at some point, so I'll continue to report that. And a good job there of kind of ignoring the lane because of the snow on the right. I really like how it positions itself there. It did the same thing yesterday, which I thought was really cool. So again, the way it's handling the driving space is still, it needs some work. Obviously, it's not perfect. I'm not going to say go fall asleep in your Tesla and go drive FSD in the snow, but they are making substantial progress, and I think that this doesn't get enough credit. Good job proceeding on yellow there. Great line selection again at that turn. And I expect to struggle up here as we hop on the freeway. We've been having a lot of issues with these shared bike/turn lanes here, so let's see what it does. Yeah, today I'm guessing it stayed over to the right because of the fact that it has trouble seeing because of the moisture and whatnot. So it was definitely causing problems yesterday in the dry conditions. So but yeah, just wanted to give you guys a taste of how FSD Beta handles the snow. Hopefully that was worthwhile to you guys. If you're interested, feel free to put some comments down below and just let me know what you think if you want to see more stuff like this. Happy to test in other areas of the Twin Cities as well. Pretty flexible, so just let me know. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you on the next one.